Welcome to the Brothers Sinatra podcast, the only podcast featuring two swinging brothers talking about the amazing digital circus. I'm Jack
it's so
Sinatra.
amazing. I am Tyler Sinatra. I'm Tyler
And
Sinatra.
we're
the Brothers
Sinatra.
Sinatra.
That was our best intro yet.
Yeah, I know.
Well, Tyler,
I'm like 3 hours asleep.
That's, 3 more than I thought you would have after all that, shenanigans I put you through last night. I put your hand in hot water. That's a nice old trick,
And then I woke up in the middle of the night and had an existential crisis.
Yep. And I put on some weird headset, and now I'm here, Tyler. So, that's what we're dealing with today is a weird, freaky VR headset world with a bunch of kooky characters. Is it fun? Is it scary? Yes, it is.
It's both of them.
Absolutely. And you can listen to us on Spotify. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts. Wherever you get your podcasts, you should be able to find us. Let us know if you can't find us. I mean, it's hard not to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And you can also find us on... Yeah, we got a lot of stuff, and we got a lot of stuff on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. We got the YouTube. And that'll show you a bunch of other videos, links to the podcast. It'll also show you where you can see us live and in person. Mostly in the greater Chicagoland area currently, but who knows? We might be all over the place.
Who knows? We could travel.
Sure.
Who says we can't travel?
We'll just have to borrow
People
one of
have
Uncle
asked us
Enzo's
to travel.
cars, and he said he's going to, lend us one of his good ones.
He said one day he'd lend it.
He said maybe the Barracuda someday. He keeps kind of dangling the carrot, really.
He's never going to give us the Barracuda.
Keeps dangling the carrot on the Barracuda.
No. If anything, it's going to be the
if you can't find us, and if you want to track this whole journey with Uncle Enzo and the Barracuda, you got to go to veryentertaining.biz. That's going to be the website that sends you to all.
It's going to be the only place
pages.
that's going to tell you about it.
Yeah, that'll be the only place. We're working on putting together a tracker for how close we are to getting the Barracuda, to getting access. And
we call
we're
it
still,
the CUDA tracker.
Yeah, still at 0, but. And it's not quite up yet because we're also relying on Uncle Enzo to kind of get it on the site. And he takes a while, as you may know, if you do follow us already. Here we are, Tyler. Amazing Digital Brothers. Okay? That's what I'm calling this foray into the Amazing Digital Circus. We're off the Going Merry. We're ditching the Grand Line. We're skipping over to, some kind of early 2000s, mid-90s, pick your time period, digital horror show. Okay, so what's your background, Tyler, with the Amazing Digital Circus?
Well, I've been a fan of independent animation for a very long time, and the studio, Glitch Productions, appeared on YouTube in my feed a while back. They had a show called Murder Drones that I watched through a little bit, and I really enjoyed that. And then they started coming out with this digital circus show few years ago, and it's been a slow rollout, but independent media, they're doing their thing. It's supposed to be, it's not weekly. They're producing a product with a small team, so it's really fun. This digital circus is like, it's a fun show with a lot of heady topics, a bit surrealist, but it also has the potential, and I've seen it, for the fandom to be the most insufferable people you may have ever met in your entire life. And that it's like on par with the Rick and Morty heads. Do you know what I mean? The people who are like, maybe you would understand it if you were really smart. If you were really smart, you'd get why Rick and Morty was so funny. It's like you're allowed to like Rick and Morty, but like settle down a little bit.
I read a Wikipedia page on 20th century existentialism, and I'm smarter than you.
I made sure I looked up Cartesian certainty principles before I got on the podcast. And
well, that's good, because that's a major part of what we're going to discuss today.
Yeah.
But really, to tie a bow on the backgrounds, I didn't know anything. I've seen 2 episodes of this show. I've heard you talk about it in passing, didn't absorb a single lick of it. And so I'm coming in kind of fresh. I've seen these 2 episodes 2 times each, and I'm ready to talk about it. I did a little bit of background research as well that we'll get into now, because we're getting into the Sinatra stats. So,
It's stat time.
what we're talking about today is the Amazing Digital Circus, episodes 1 and 2. It was a internet cartoon, more or less, on YouTube, so there's not really a TV rating subscribed to it. I would say that you're probably looking at a PG-ish rating, but it does that Disney thing where it's kind of verging on the more mature stuff, but it doesn't quite rise to the level of even a One Piece. I would be shocked if this got like a TV-14 rating if it was put into the rating system.
Just a little bit of background, more on me, folks. I've seen every episode that's released so far, and I would say going through later, it might bump up to like PG-13.
Okay. Well, we'll get there when we get there. So the creator, the director, the writer is Gooseworx, which is a woman I have confirmed through, reading a couple of paragraphs on Wikipedia. Don't know much else about Gooseworx, Tyler. I assume that is not the birth name of this digital creator.
Oh, no, it probably is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
just go to the birth certificate. They're like,
Gooseworx.
And they're like, that goes above our character limit. Could you make the KS an X? And they said, yeah, we can do that.
I can do that.
Absolutely. The studio, as Tyler was mentioning, is Glitch Productions, which is an Australian-based studio. And then just kind of skimming, broad range of resources available on Wikipedia here. Just a couple of other things. We got the voice talents of Lizzie Freeman, and that is going to be the voice of Pomni, kind of the main character, our kind of POV character, more or less. We got Kane, who is, the chairman of the board, the ringmaster, the overlord, voiced by Alex Rochon. We got Jax, a rabbit man who kind of reminds me of a Jack and Daxter. So in my mind, that's where Jax came from. I have no idea if that's true. Voiced by Michael Kovac. We got Ragatha, who basically is a Raggedy Ann doll, voiced by Amanda Hufford. We got Gangle, who's the one with the acting mask,
comedy
right?
masks.
Tragedy comedy, but the comedy one's broken for at least the first 2 episodes. We got Kinger, who is kind of clippy but with a chest piece and has a robe and he's been there the longest. He's kind of going nuts. Voiced by Sean Chiplock. And I don't think I said Gangle's actor, Marissa Lenti, by the way.
No, you didn't. No.
Zubul is the one with the various shapes. Kind of reminded me of an Real Monsters kind of character almost, with the striped arm and such. Voiced by Ashley Nichols. And then we got Bubble, who is kind of the henchman or the pet of Kane, voiced by
Pet would be
Gooseworx.
Oh, I don't know. Pet's appropriate.
Well, I mean, it's
who knows?
It's the second in command, the lieutenant, let's say.
Yeah,
Bubble.
Lieutenant feels better. Lieutenant Bubble.
Yeah, essentially looks like a chain chomp from Mario, but is a bubble. So,
and when you were talking about Jax, you said what we talked off the pod, Gex. Do you know who else I hear a lot of? Kazooie.
Kazooie.
Yeah, from Banjo-Kazooie. Like, you know how when the other characters are talking and then all of a sudden Kazooie chimes in with like oh, you're both idiots thing. Do you know what I mean? And then, I don't know. I just think like the offhanded comments that he makes when he's not necessarily in a conversation and then he like kind of pops in. It's like, that's very Banjo-Kazooie, like Kazooie's mouthing off at one of the NPCs that you're talking to.
The run times here, for these couple, they were in and around 25-ish minutes. So these are short episodes. These I watched on Netflix. Obviously, they were originally on YouTube, and they might have other distribution at this point. And like Tyler said, there is the release schedule is very elongated. So the first one came out in October of 2023. The second one came out in May of 2024. So, it's kind of it's done when it's done type mentality. And I read a little bit that, they were happy to continue with that model instead of, let's say, taking a couple of years to just produce all the episodes. Number one, because the pilot was kind of a runaway success in a way that they didn't anticipate, so they weren't really ready to, go into a hole and work on the remaining episodes for 2 years and not release anything. But also, they could make each episode an event unto itself, and that is evidenced by the fact that the 9th episode to be released, which is coming out in June, is going to have a limited theatrical release where I believe they're playing episodes 8 and the new one 9.
That is correct, yeah.
And that
Big
is
hullabaloo on the internet
to,
about that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's like a Fathom event,
Yeah, well, and a lot of the fandom, again, I mentioned how they have the potential to be insufferable. There's a lot of people who are very angry.
They're like, I gotta pay for this now? I gotta give money to these struggling artists to produce this content?
It's more,
people are trying to make money off of this?
It's more along the lines of like, the theatrical release is released 2 weeks before the streaming release.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, so there's a bunch of people who are going to get to pay to see it before the rest of the fandom who may or may not be able to pay to see it. I get it, guys.
You guys, if you're a real fan,
let your artists sell their art. Let them do it.
This is how that they can create the next thing, guys.
If all of you, like Gooseworx have said, they are not going to make a second season. If you wanted even a glimmer of a hope of a second season, I gotta tell you, let them put it in the theaters. You should have advocated for it more, to be honest with you. As much as I want to see the episode, just let them make the money. They got voice actors to pay. They have composers and artists.
Yeah, you said it's a small team, but it's still a big enough team where these are all human beings, not virtual reality, NPCs. These people have to, feed their families, have a roof over their head, and so on and so forth, okay?
It's not just digital food that gives the sensation of eating without the nutrients. It's not that.
No.
It's real food. We have real food here. Anyway, Jackie, I can't keep getting angry at the fandom.
I think
feel like I do this with every fandom.
The only other thing I want to mention before we kind of start getting into it and getting into our summaries is a little bit of background on kind of where this came from. So my understanding is that Gooseworx was, creating other various animated works, but mostly in a 2D realm. So Glitch Productions found one of Gooseworx's other animated projects and wanted to work together. And then Glitch Productions asked Gooseworx to come up with a couple of ideas. And one of the ideas that Gooseworx brought forward was the Amazing Digital Circus. So, the broad ideas, these humans that are trapped in this VR world where, there is kind of this AI presence in Kane that is more or less controlling their environment, sending them on missions. So they're essentially stuck in a little video game. But it also is strongly influenced by this particular short story from 1967 by Harlan Ellison, I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. So one of the first things I did after reading that was read that short story. And I highly recommend that if you're interested, just go find it. It's available on the internet as a PDF. It's 14 pages long.
There's also a version of it on YouTube with the author reading it to you. So if you don't feel like reading it, you can hear the author.
Yeah, if you don't want to use those skills, just passively listen to a couple whack job brothers. Maybe we'll do our own reading version of it.
Oh, that would be fun. Yeah. You can be Am.
Oh, I read it as AM the whole time, so it's funny to talk about that.
Yeah,
we'd have to decide on that. That's the first decision we have to make, Am.
I think I'd call him Am.
Just sounds like, because you can get M's and N's kind of mixed up. People might think it's an N and it's a woman, but it doesn't really have a gender. It's an AI. Tyler, see, that's the problem. But it's a it's worth a read. It's, I'd say, a touch more mature and a little dated.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit lighter and brighter in the Amazing Digital Circus, but you can see a lot of the shared DNA if you go read that story. And I watched the first 2 episodes, and then I read the story, and then I watched the 2 episodes again. And so it was kind of interesting to see what's similar, what's different. From the 2 episodes that I saw, the AI is a little less sadistic so far, but it's still concerning, and we're going to get into that.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you
folks,
have...
one more thing. There's also an old video game of it that you can play. It's like
it goes a little
walkthrough.
beyond.
Yeah, it has
They give the characters different backstories, and they try to correct some of the problematic stuff. So one particular character that is a monkey with large genitals is completely changed into a different thing.
Yeah.
So that was unfortunate to me. I think they should have kept, the monkey with the massive dong, but that's neither here nor there, Tyler.
You win some and you lose some, Jackie.
You sure do. And they sure do in the Amazing Digital Circus. So I think we could probably get into our Sinatra summaries, unless you have anything else to share before we get to our spoilers.
Well, I suppose I did want to mention, going back into, Gooseworx's earlier YouTube videos. I just want to... This is more for me and Jack. Their first 2 videos on the YouTube, one of them, the first one, is a techno remix of the Pineapple Rag, which is a song that is featured in one of my favorite movies of all time, known as The Sting. Wonderful film, Robert Redford, Paul Newman. I just think that's very funny because for that to be their first thing, a song that I really like, and to be from a movie I like. And then the next video, it's a cover of the Mr. Patch boss fight music from Banjo-Tooie, the circus tent fight. And the moment that I saw that, I'm like, oh, that's why I said the Kazooie thing earlier. I'm like, I could not stop thinking
but also
about
circus.
Banjo-Kazooie the whole time.
Now that you're saying that, a lot of the colors.
Yeah.
So it's all starting to, make sense where a lot of this stuff might come from. Obviously, we're going to talk about a lot of the other influences that we kind of see in this. And, to be honest with you, that period of the early mid-'90s through, I'd say, the early 2000s, so we're talking about N64, PS1, we're talking about early kind of Windows 95, 97 PC games. You can see so much of that kind of bleeding into just the overall texture and environment of the show, but obviously the show decides to kind of pump up the fidelity of that. So it's a familiar world, but it's in high definition.
Yeah.
And one more thing before we get to the spoilers. On Rotten Tomatoes, this doesn't really have a critical aspect of Rotten Tomatoes. Again, I think it's because its origin is on YouTube. So it does not really have a critic score. It is, though, anecdotally and with critics who did review it, very highly regarded, and it has a 97% audience rating on Rotten Tomatoes. So let's get into the spoilers. So everything from now on is a spoiler. We're going to get into the specifics of the Amazing Digital Circus episode 1 and 2. And
we're warning you.
We will not be spoiling other episodes or larger arcs, mainly for me, because I don't know what's going to happen, okay?
I might do that.
So, try not to, and if you do, try to code it.
I'll try not to.
So that I can be fresh, because I'm going to probably throw some theories at you that are wrong. And I don't want to see it in your face how wrong it is, okay?
I'll just give you a blank face the whole time. I'll go.
I like it. That's good for the video portion of the podcast.
Yeah, the video portion of the podcast, not moving your...
In fact...
Oh, maybe I should call Timothy Chalamet to figure out how to not move my face for an
do the phone a friend. We should have a phone a friend. Get Chalamet in the pod. Ask him about
Somebody
this.
Somebody eventually is going
to
comment on how often I comment about Timothy Chalamet, and they're going to think I like him.
Oh, you love him. Let's do the Sinatra summaries, Tyler, and let's start with yours. You do short ones, I do long ones. It's a whole thing.
It's a whole thing. All right. A woman finds herself dropped into a digitally simulated circus with a seemingly insane ringmaster, a full cast of wacky characters. And she's going to have to navigate through themed adventures, personal relationships, and the dark, inescapable reality that she may never leave. That's the Amazing Digital
I like
Circus.
it. All right, so here we go. I'm going to do a couple of mine here, one for
Blow
each
by
episode.
blow.
Okay, so number one, pilot. A woman puts on a headset, sending her to the Amazing Digital Circus, a late 20th century virtual reality game world inhabited by one AI host and tooth man named Kane, and 6 other trapped humans with digital avatars: Jax, Ragatha, Gangle, Kinger, Zubul, and the heretofore absent Kaufmo. Named Pomni, after being unable to remember her name, our main character notices an elusive exit door, quickly dismissed by Kane as a hallucination. While the gang embarks on one of Kane's missions, Pomni, Ragatha, and Jax find out that Kaufmo has been abstracted into an amorphous monster that causes glitching in anything he touches, leading Pomni to seek out Kane after Ragatha starts glitching herself after touching Kaufmo. Along the way, Pomni finds the exit door and embarks through a labyrinth of office spaces leading to the void, where she's rescued by Kane. Meanwhile, the adventure is disrupted by Kaufmo until Kane imprisons him in a cellar filled with other abstracted characters. Kane undoes the damage Kaufmo caused and admits he created the exit because people just wanted one. But he could never decide what to put behind it, so it's kind of unfinished. Accepting her fate for now, Pomni feasts on digital food, which is not fulfilling, with the rest of the gang. And then it's represented as the day directly after the first episode, but who knows how time works in this crazy digital circus. But this is Candy Carrier Chaos. Kane sends the group on a new adventure to the Candy Canyon Kingdom, where the mission is to recover a stolen tanker of maple syrup from some crocodile bandit NPCs. During a car chase, Pomni and lead bandit Gummigoo fall through the map into an asset storage platform where Gummigoo sees his own digital model and has an existential crisis. Pomni talks Gummigoo off the ledge and convinces him to come to the circus to find meaning. The two use another physics glitch to get back to the surface with a second syrup truck, which they give to the other NPC bandits before returning to the circus, but as Gummigoo arrives, he is immediately deleted by Kane. A horrified Pomni finds some solace as Ragatha invites her to Kaufmo's funeral. So it ends on a slightly hopeful note, but yeah, it's not looking good for our, woman Pomni, who is stuck as a clown character.
Yeah, Jester. She's all jesting around.
Yeah,
jestering.
Yeah, but she's not making too many jokes, She has some pretty, intuitive moments. She's kind of not getting too involved in the mission. She's still kind of hung up on, just being a person that's stuck in this place. But we'll talk about all of that as we go. And I just wanted to mention, I guess, a couple of other things that got brought to my mind. I think I mentioned a lot of these as we've gone through, but, Mario 64... something that I really thought about over and over again, from the hallways with all the paintings to the sky, the blue sky print that's everywhere. I mean, to me, that's just something that evokes not only that, but also I think just early Windows had a lot of that sky print. That checkered floor has just been used, I feel like, in so many different... It strikes me as a very Tim Burton kind of thing, and Tim Burton was very prevalent at that time. So I mentioned Real Monsters, thought of that. Clippy mentioned that. There was a game called Digital Movie Maker, I think. It might have, I'm sure it wasn't. I always conflate this with Windows Movie Maker, but that's an actual movie making tool. Digital Movie Maker, I believe it was called, was more like you had this cast of digital characters that you could put into these movies, and it was kind of this era of animation style. Croc, Spyro, Gex, Donkey Kong 64. So a lot of these things were coming up to my
Conker's Bad
mind.
Fur Day.
Conker's Bad Fur Day. Yeah. Absolutely. And, I'm hoping that at some point we get to a Mario Kart, analog. But don't tell me if we do.
Okay.
All right. Oh, Diddy Kong Racing, I just thought of. That's an even better one.
Honestly, the whole Rare line, I feel like,
Yeah.
the early Rare stuff, when they were
Early
still
Rare,
fun,
yeah.
and before they started destroying their own property in Sea of Thieves, that's
Tough
their
one.
own fault. They should really figure that one out. They still have a really big community that plays the game, and yet they don't. I don't need to talk about more things I'm bothered about, Jackie. I don't need to talk about it.
Well, if anyone from Rare finds themselves 24 minutes into this very, niche podcast,
Hire me.
I'm sure
I'll fix your game.
Let's get into the good, the bad, and the
years.
brothers. So this is where we do our 5 best, we do 5 worst, and then we don't really have a bonus category this week, to be honest with you folks. We got to run to a gig later, so we don't need to add another half hour as we can when we add these categories. So we're just going to go 5 best, 5 worst
Jackie
today.
likes to talk. We know Jackie likes to talk, so we got to cut a category.
However, my selections for these categories are pretty long. I just basically get a mob of notes on each number, so hopefully,
All right.
hopefully we end up in a good place, Tyler, because there is a
figure it
ticking
out.
clock. It'd be nice to have a ticking clock episode in one of these too. Don't tell me if it exists.
We would go overtime and explode, or whatever the consequence would be for finishing the.
Yeah, we'd be like
timer.
the constant MacGruber, where we're still talking about figuring out what's going on, and then you just see the explosion, from a long shot.
Constant MacGruber. That's a comedy album name, I feel like. All right. My 5th best thing is what I'll call the inside humor. We were just talking about a lot of video games. We're talking about like 3D modeling art and stuff. There's a lot of inside baseball, if you know, you know, kind of like King of Glitching Out. They talk about, King, and he like starts freaking out. If you've ever played a video game and it's not, or tested a game and something's going wrong, that's what King is kind of doing. He's like bouncing around. They're doing it on purpose. Visual gag. There's when Pomni falls through the map, there's a bunch of teapots. It's called the Utah or the Newell teapot. It's something that has been part of 3D modeling. It's like a standard. It's something that you learn to do a lot. It's in a lot of 3D. It's been in Disney movies. It's been in a lot of stuff. It's one of the first things you would like learn how to do. Similar to like, if you folks are familiar with the Blender like tutorials, there's a very popular donut one. It's even more prevalent than that. It's an incredible thing that you see, and if you don't know, you would just walk. It's like, those are a bunch of teapots. Why are those there? Dive a little deeper, and you're like, oh, that's a joke for everybody who's ever 3D modeled in their life. That's pretty fun.
Yeah, there's also just a lot of jokes for people who were around and on technology in the 90s.
Yeah. I just want to mention like the NPC artist mannequins. There's a lot of those NPCs that are artist mannequins. I think that is an absolutely incredible choice for them to. It's like they are just empty sort of vessels that you're meant to put your own interpretation on. And what a fun way to do it than to literally use an implement as a 3D model that artists use to pose their own art so they can then. It's just a very interesting way to do it, and I really enjoy it. All of these little inside art, inside video game, inside programmer humor, very fun. Kinga talks about having a bug collection, and he also glitches out. It's like there are bugs. It's just so fun. There's so many lines too, but we'll get into the lines later because that's a different category for me.
All right. So that's your number 5. Is just
That's
a little
my number
inside
5.
humor.
Inside humor.
My number 5 is the scoring and the music, and I believe this is also produced by Gooseworx.
That was my number 1.
Oh, okay. Well, to be honest with you, our 1s and 5s are kind of flipped in this one, but I have a lot more to go through in my number 1, so I'll save it for then. And we can save most of the music discussion when we get to your number 1. The main Yeah, I'll just save the specifics to when we get there. But that was my number 5. What's your number 4, Tyler?
Number 4. This is like a very specific thing. Like, I think the pilot is so well packaged in, like, there are like 3 instances of things that are sort of short, but I find them to be profoundly useful in like packaging the idea. And the opening shot of the show, it looks like your camera, whatever where our viewing point is outside of a TV. You're looking at something that has graphics from something that is like 64-bit. And as you push in, you go through the screen, and then the resolution increases, and then we're in the digital circus. That's the first part of, like, the whole show. Then we get to the point where, we're going to skip a bunch, but we get to the point where Pomni gets to the exit doors, right? And Pomni goes in, and it goes Stanley Parable back rooms. She keeps opening more identical doors, and eventually gets herself into the void. Pushing forward ahead, at the very, very end of the episode, they zoom out, and they keep zooming out past the void. Again, one more void shot, I think, and then it zooms out, and you're in an office again, and you see the computer with a headset and a chair or whatever, and it's like a desk space. And it's very similar to the rooms that Pomni's been going through, and it also harkens back to the beginning of the show, where they push in, and they're pushing into the screen. Now you're pulled out, and this is one of those things where it's like, there's nobody wearing this headset. There's a lot of different things in that last final shot before they give you the title card of the Amazing Digital Circus. And I just think, if anybody had any question about what was going on, the little caps at either end of the episode really solidify this is we are dealing with 2 separate realities. There is something going on somewhere, and there is another thing happening, but we just don't have any information about it yet. And I think it may be one of the best, like for animated things, especially in this genre, I couldn't think of a better way to package the original idea than that. You have to tell everybody that you're in a simulated world, say that the desire is to escape, and that there is escape possible, but we don't know if there is escape technically, like necessarily there could be an escape because there is an alternate universe apparently, according to the shots. Whether they can actually do it remains to be seen, but it does give the viewer the thought that it is possible. And I think that after watching it the second time, I don't think I even clocked it the first time. Rewatching it the other day, I was taken aback by how cohesive it was and how much I felt like I understood. Again, second viewing, but how much I felt like I understood like exactly the vision for what the show was going to be in just the pilot. And I think Gooseworx deserves a lot of credit for just the overall writing and how they chose to bookend it, because it really helps with immersion.
Yeah, I think that, number one, there wasn't it wasn't a certainty that there was going to be another episode after the first one. So I think the first one is incredibly structured in a way that if there was nothing that came after it, it has, is kind of
it had its own legs.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was kind of my number 4 as well. The intro, and then also the efficiency of the setup, which is something that you kind of got into. So in the intro, one of the things I read is that initial style in the first few frames where it's in that 64-bit, that was initially what Gooseworx wanted the whole thing to look like. So I think it's kind of funny that you get like that tiny glimpse at this is maybe if you're outside of that screen and you're looking at it, this is what you
Yeah.
see. And so you can imagine the humans before they get digitized or whatever happens, maybe walking up to this desk with this thing and seeing the Amazing Digital Circus 64-bit game, putting on the headset and getting sucked in or something. And then as she's getting sucked in, it goes from her perspective from the outside, seeing it 64-bit, to coming in and being, inside of it. And then in the intro, it just does a really great job of basically you understand what this world is and what the stakes are within 90 seconds, because there's a version of this where you think it's just a fun game and then they rug pull at the very end and you don't get any of the surrealism or the existentialism until way later. There's a version of this where Pomni is just happily going about tasks and then realizes she can't get out later, but they don't do that. They drop it on you right away. They seed
She's freaking out immediately. Her eyes are getting all like, the scribbles.
They seed in Kaufmo right away with Times New Roman font, which I think is kind of funny. With the Kaufmo will not be appearing today. The intro, as they're going through and they're introducing the characters and it's a whole song and dance, it just screeches to a halt. So that is the rug pull. It happens literally during that kind of opening intro song where they're introducing everybody. And then, Jax is like, oh, now she's here. We got to create. We got to redo the whole intro again, adding another character. And then on the efficiency of setup side, we don't waste any time that these are humans in a VR world. We don't waste any time by knowing that Kane is kind of a problematic overlord character. He has a lot of creepy moments that I have in another category that just let you know that there is a sinister thing going on here, and he's not human. We know that for sure. And then Kane's tour of the grounds and the void just gives you the perspective of we're kind of in this self-contained world, and there is this mysterious other place out there, the void, and it's not a certainty that. And we also see the exit door, so we have that thought that maybe there's a way to get out, but is there a way to get out? It's still pretty murky by the time we get to the end. So that's my number 4. So our 4s were very closely tied together.
Yeah.
What's your 3?
I mean, the pilot is very strong. There's no reason to not. Yeah. I put in generally the writing. I think it is incredibly funny. It reminds me of like The Office or some Mel Brooks stuff where it's a joke a minute. It's like, I don't even know if you could take a breath. I have a couple of like the Kane interactions with Bubble when Bubble's like, I'll clean it up, and he starts licking the ooze off the. Why are you like this?
The digital throw up.
And like Jax is a standout character. A lot of people like Jax, but he had like his sort of witty banter where she still thinks this is a dream, and he like fourth wall breaks. He does all of these sort of like tongue-in-cheek little quips. Funny. Kane is funny. Ragatha, annoying, but like it's the juxtaposition of having like a Jax character and somebody who's like trying way too hard to get you to like him and be comfortable, and that's great too. But she also slips up and then like falls in. It's like, and then if you realize that you go to an unattainable goal, it's like she's trying to be very nice and welcoming, but she still falls into this, oh yeah, but I'm also a little bit off kilter. I don't have my wits fully about me. I fall into these existential sort of down spirals too. And oh gosh, I'm trying to think of some of my favorite lines. It's like, you parasite. Why do you do this? She still thinks this is a dream. The Gummigoo section where when he turns to her and he's like, I need you to tell me exactly what I am. There are like really standout moments. The fudge, Jackie.
Yeah, the fudge is a good one.
It's even like something, an amorphous blob of fudge that you would assume is like, he eats the candy people. Oh, you think it's funny. And then he turns around and he's like, I can still hear them calling to me.
You get the slow zoom. There's so much of that in this show in general, not just with the fudge, also with Kane. You have the pull zoom on Pomni when she sees the computer. So a lot of that zoom work where it's like it's fun and happy, and then all of a sudden the score changes. It starts like slow zooming, and typically there's something visually that's changed, either in the eyes or
like the
there's
shading.
A darkness around.
Yeah. Like where I can keep my thousands of all-seeing eyes watching you. Yeah, it's like there are just these moments of both like visual gags that pair with the writing, obviously, that are so, again, well structured, well written, good jokes. It's not just. There are setups, there are punchlines, there are quips. You get a little bit of wordplay. I didn't do enough research to whether, if the script writing is completely done by Gooseworx, but if it is, boy, Gooseworx.
I think it is. I mean, that's what Wikipedia says, and Wikipedia is never wrong. So
never wrong.
And I do also want to point out that from a composition standpoint, also Evan Alderete is involved in the score, so not just
the composing, yeah. But the lines, if you're in, again, more mature content, folks, if you're in for the sort of surrealist thing, it is very funny. It is, like, again, Jax, if you don't laugh at Jax at least, 2 times out loud during these 2 episodes, there's something wrong with your funny box, folks.
I think that's funny because Jax definitely wasn't my favorite character. I'll get into that later.
He's not my favorite character either, but that's not my favorite character is Kinger. If we're gonna,
I think I have a couple of Jax moments. Number 3 for me is funny corner. So it's kind of funny that you're talking about what's funny and different lines. But here's a little bit of what I have written down. Just that anything can happen in the Amazing Digital Circus except for swearing is funny. Every time they swear, there's a little expletive box that pops up, and they can't say it.
And it has Kane's face on it with more expletive.
And that continues as well in the second episode. Anytime it happens, they continue that thread.
There's one time it doesn't, where Bubble does the blue streak, and it's just a single long beep. That's I think the only time they don't do it.
Yep. Frisky Moon when. When Kane is showing the grounds and they go up to the sun and the moon is getting frisky with Kane for some reason. I thought that was funny. Terms and conditions, he just reads out you can pick any name and then rattles through these terms and conditions of what names she can't have.
Nothing sexually explicit. It's
the Gloink Queen, just the Gloink Queen's one monologue where it's
God will be Gloinks.
You're gonna be Gloinks. Everything must be Gloinks. And that's the only narrative for this character is this queen wants to make everything Gloinks, which are little shapes with eyes. Something is, and then they rightly point out this is stupid.
This is stupid.
Hey,
that's what I'm talking about with Jax. It's this is dumb. He's just this is dumb. Why are we doing it? And they're hey, another one. My favorite line in the 2 episodes, I think, is ladies first. No, wait, why would I say that? And he pushes Gangle. I don't know why I think that's so funny. I still think it's
you like violence against women. That's fine.
Yeah, mainly digital women.
Kane and Bubble at the Mannequin Cafe, where they're just at the cafe for no reason, and Kane is "Oh,
you
Bubble,
always
you always know how to make me say this exact sentence."
Yeah.
And then that's when you get the
Wacky Watch.
The Wacky Watch, which the TV kind of ad, and the Wacky Watch kind of looks like a Pit Boy from Fallout.
It does, a little Pit Boy.
The digital vomit we talked about, the Bubble, sounds sticky, and then sounds beep with the long expletive we talked about.
Yeah.
Pomni. So our entire existence is just LARPing.
Yeah.
That made me laugh. Kane is smoking the bubble pipe and offers it to Bubble, and Bubble's no, thanks, I'm trying to quit. Yeah.
Bubble, you are a bubble.
They're fighting the NPCs on the syrup truck, and one of the NPCs is trying to grab. I think it's Pomni on the top. He's like, my arms aren't long enough.
My arms are too short to, and then the other one is like, my arms are too long to grab the gear shift.
Why are there so many knives back here? They just keep on like falling into knives in the truck. That's one moment that kind of reminded me of that short story where it's just like there's things that are dangerous and like
just all around,
yeah, for no reason other than to try to make them in pain. We were one tanker away from being Augustus glooped, so that was a Jax line that I thought was funny. Willy Wonka reference. Pomni always seems to miss the big gloopy monsters because you get them back to back in these episodes, and it's funny. It's that's very self-aware, and I always like it when they just call out things that a lot of the audience is probably thinking. And then
they do that a few times.
Yeah, and then the NPCs in the background while they're having they come up from the asset storage. And they're talking about going back to the Amazing Digital Circus. And if you look in the background, you see the NPCs first doing patty cake and then doing these weird dances in the background. So I thought that was funny.
Yeah.
Okay, that was my 3. What's your 2?
My 2 is talking about a trope in like a general media or writing. And it's the idea that the crazy person or the person who is like told the audience to be insane tends to say the things that are true when they are lucid or like in the moments when they're asked to. And I think I already said my favorite character is Kinger. Kinger may be the best example of this trope I may have ever seen. He does this thing where he is just not with it the entire time, and then he just drops a bit of sage wisdom to you at the end of It's the second episode where they eat the dinner. He says, "This is."
I think it's the first one.
Is it the first one?
Yeah, because the end of the second one is Kaufmo's funeral.
Kaufmo's funeral. Yeah, so when they're eating, he's like, "We don't need to eat and sleep in the digital world. It's the food just gives us the sensation of eating without any of the nutrients."
Yeah, he just kind of says
it. And then Jax says, "What? How are you? Since when are you as an expert on the digital world?" And Kaufmo's just, or not Kaufmo, King is just like, what? It's the perfect, like, he is lucid for like a sentence at a time, and he gives you true knowledge about what is going on, and then goes immediately back to being written off. It's like, as a viewer, you can kind of see what's going on, but if you were in the situation, it would be easy to be like, just write Kinga off. He's just talking crazy the whole time.
Yeah.
And I don't want to give anything away, but boy, does Kinga speak truth, folks. Kinga is a true man. Kinga is a Chad.
Kinga's a Chad.
Kinga's a Chad.
A Chad.
Look up Chad Kinga after this.
With no arms but hands. One of my favorite, video game things that just happened a lot in the 90s.
Sometimes I just like one single hand.
Yeah.
Like Glover.
Ooh, Glover.
What a call out.
And also the Master Hand from
Oh yeah. Do you think Master Hand and Glover are related?
Oh, definitely. Glover's like, one of his nephews or something.
Yeah.
Nieces?
That's what I always thought.
Does Glover gendered? I was assumed it was a man because I had a principal called Mr. Glover.
Oh.
Yeah.
Way to dox your principal on our podcast.
He's probably not around anymore. It's fine.
That's not nice. Anyway.
That leads beautifully into my number 2, which is existential dread, Tyler.
Oh, yeah.
Existential dread corner. So, obviously, throughout these episodes, there are these horrifying moments juxtaposed with what I call nihilist fun, where nothing really matters. We're doing these missions just because. It doesn't seem to be a rhyme or reason why. It's just like something to do in this world. So, let's see. I got a lot written down here. I'm just going to rattle through a few things. So, obviously, we've got the whole Kaufmo thing, and when the resolution to it is just kind of throwing Kaufmo into the cellar once he's abstracted. And like,
with other abstracted things.
And also when they're going and seeking out Kaufmo, they find his room, and inside he's got no exit written, like red rum all over the walls. There's a lot of other things as they're walking through that hallway. There's other pictures of other characters with X's. So there's that, again, that kind of just sinister vibes as we're walking through. We know that we don't know how many humans have been in this place and how many have been abstracted. Obviously, when he was thrown in the cellar, there's a lot of other eyes down there. So how many people has this happened to? What generation, are these folks that are here?
We definitely find out.
Okay, we find out exact numbers.
Well, I wouldn't say exact numbers, but just until our iteration, we know, like, where we are now, there's a very good idea of how many people started in the circus.
We talked about Gummigoo finding himself, in a negative way, where he actually sees his character model and his whole where's mom, so he realized that his mother...
The where's mom thing really got me. When the first time he's like, I can't remember her face.
Yeah. It's like, does she have a face?
Did she have a face? It's like, that's a crazy... That's why I mentioned, the Cartesian skepticism stuff up top. It's like, Descartes said I think, therefore I am, right? And Gummigoo, for all intents and purposes, can think. He... has some sort of cognitive function, and then he comes to the realization that, I don't have memories, or at least in the way that I thought I did. Does everything that I know, is it true? Or is everything I've done fake?
Yeah.
And it's just a crazy, you gotta, if you're gonna watch the Gummigoo episode, be in a good headspace before you get there, I think.
We talked about the digital food. Pomni's whole where am I, who am I in the first couple seconds of the pilot. The glitching, it's almost like a body horror type thing where her hand starts glitching and Ragatha's glitching, and it's like, is that going to happen to me with the whole Kaufmo thing? The exit door appearing and then disappearing, and then obviously as we get into, she goes through the exit door, and there's a million exit doors. She keeps going through into basically the same kind of muted office space. There's a lot of 5 stages of grief stuff in that pilot. I have a feeling they use that as a bit of a template for Pomni's, journey there. Gangle's broken comedy mask. You can't feel anything but sadness. I mean, that's... there's bound to be something there you can dig on.
Yeah, there's something with that.
The void, just the concept of the void, both being kind of, possibly the way out. And with the scoring in the void, what was interesting to me is that it immediately got to a more realistic, more Star Wars, where it sounded like real horns and less digital. So to me, it's like the void must be kind of getting closer to the way out or something, at least with the way
and it had some choral stuff in there too. It definitely had that angelic sort of singing.
We talked about the hundreds of all-seeing eyes moment where it's like, this Kane guy is clearly watching you constantly. Also, just the fact that he's a very threatening, set of teeth. Anytime you have a character made of teeth, it's, it's not threatening. Digital hallucinations, when he kind of is saying that exit door is a digital hallucination and the text goes on the screen.
Digital hallucinations.
Yeah. We talked about... Oh, there's that one moment where Pomni opens the door and there's that mannequin figure in the bath, and then the haunting screaming mask comes out at her, and it's she's like, ooh, close that door.
We don't like that.
Pomni looks in the mirror at one point and has that moment of horror.
This is me now.
We talked about the pole zoom when she's looking at the ancient computer, so it's like that look of recognition, deja vu, whatever you want to call it. It's like, I've been here before. And that computer is all covered in gunk. It it's like, how long has that computer been there? Stretching hallway to the void, so that hallway stretching type thing that's going on there. And I thought it was interesting that in the office they have a lot of hanging pictures as well, but it's just hanging pictures of like a dimly lit space that you can barely see.
Yeah.
And then ends with when it ends with the PC. You were talking about the bookend of the episode where it ends and you see in that same computer that Pomni saw. Of course, it's not covered in the same gunk that she did, but you know that this is the same computer.
Yeah.
Right. And that's kind of where we are, is inside of there. Pomni's abstraction dream in the second episode. So, what's crazy is, the fact that she's having nightmares means that Kane is probably creating these nightmares, especially just drawing connections to that short story that we were talking about. If everything comes from the AI, then he's feeding, those types of thoughts directly to her. The princess refers to Kane as God and has that stained glass window of Kane. And then... And then the fudge we talked about eats the townspeople. You can hear the screams. So that's what I had for existential dread corner.
I am the fudge.
So number one for you is the scoring, right?
Oh, yeah, and sound design. It's like music, sound design. They're doing so many things. First of all, the intro music is like technically really, really good. Jack and I both went to music school, and it's like they're doing some academic things in the intro. There's it's fun, but more than just like having a good score for like feeling. They're adding in a lot of, and Jack and I have talked about not this in this context, but both him and I are fans of like the old Hanna-Barbera cartoons. I'm a huge fan of Scooby-Doo.
I thought you were going to say Funky Phantom.
I was gonna bring up Funky Phantom. I was gonna bring up Funky Phantom even. Yeah, and they have so many like of the classic cartoon, like if they run away, it's like that. Like I can't make the sounds with my mouth.
I know. I can hear it in my head though. I know what you.
Yeah,
I know what you're getting
like
at.
The feet moving in place, and then they get the like gunshot
it's like
sound.
Almost like the Fred Flintstone car. Sound.
Yeah, the Fred Flintstone car, and then they've got like a lot of xylophone hits where it's like going up, a gliss up the xylophone with a little pop at the end. When she opens up the monkey barrel and like it pops open and all the monkey, there's just so many like little things that it's like they're calling back to classic cartoons. They obviously are doing like a more cinematic thing with their scoring when it comes to like like when they're playing the music and they're zooming in, the all-seeing eyes, all of that stuff. When they're trying to feel sinister, they have those low tones. It's the best mesh of like cartoon and like cinema style scoring that I've seen in like an independent thing. They're doing so well, and it must be because Gooseworx is a composer, or at least I would consider them a composer. They've done enough things I've watched enough of their YouTube things they have a good handle on theory enough to call themselves a composer. And the music's great, and both the intro and the outro, I think it's funny how the Amazing Digital Circus like intro music is the da 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 da. It's very like this is standard sort of how am I trying to put this? It's like this.
To me, it sounds like it's something that I think is very reminiscent of a Mario 64.
Yeah, it's
type
those
of,
classic
sound
games, but when you get to the end and it's an outro, it has that like boppy little saxophone that which feels like a sitcom to me, like a 90s sitcom every single time. So it gives you this like, you're in a video game, existential crisis. The credits, let's chill out a bit. It's all fun and games, guys. Don't forget that at the end of the day, it's just a show. It's all fun and games. Listen to the Chipper saxophone play. Remember watching Boy Meets World for a second.
Boy, do I.
Yeah.
Get Topanga in the show.
Why isn't Topanga in the Digital Circus?
It would be funny if they just had, an actual human being that's in there too. It's like, I didn't get a model. I'm just here. I'm Steve.
Yeah.
I'm Topanga.
Steve. I'm Topanga. I'm Sean. I'm Corey.
Get all of them in there. Mr. Feeney?
I'm plays with. That's a deep cut. Plays with squirrels.
All right. My number one was the video game mechanics / tech jokes / 90s jokes. So I started with the video game mechanics, and then I just lumped in, a bunch of referential stuff in there.
Yeah, of course.
So we've already talked about some of these, but I'll rattle through them. Pomni and Gummigoo fall through the map. So anyone who has played a video game falling through the map, I mean, exactly what they're talking about there.
I bet you could still get under Stormwind in the classic WoW version. I bet you can still do under Stormwind, folks.
There you go.
Get under there.
I've fallen under the map in like Skyrim. Just happened to me recently. I don't remember, but Skyrim was one I remembered where I was like, going down a mountain, and then it's like I'm going down the mountain under the ground. It's like, how far can you take it?
Were you on a horse? That's why.
I don't think I was. I don't even remember. It's like when it happens to you, it's like sometimes you just literally fall through and die. But
when
on this one, I was kind of like just walking.
You'll be Gummigoo. Sorry.
Bosses, the adventures, which are kind of like missions. So just like video game, vibes throughout this whole setup. If you've ever played a game, you just know what they're doing. The dial-up sound when Kane loses connection for a hot second. If you had internet before, I don't know.
Comcast?
Yeah, DSL, which means a different thing these days. But,
oh, my gosh, DSL.
But back then, it was just faster internet than dial-up. Tyler.
Why are you aging us for the internet?
Digital System Link, okay? But the dial-up sound of like classic AOL, you just know exactly what's going on there. You got the flower pot in the intro that has the collision bug. That's kind of the first collision bug that you see, and then that's used plenty of times, and obviously in the Gummigoo sequence when they escape. And it's also foreshadowed when Pomni falls out of bed in the nightmare. It's foreshadowed in that instance. We already talked about the sky wallpaper, the different colors, and the checkered floor. When Jax gives Zubul and Kinger the bowling ball and sends them down into the gloink pit, and then they hit the bowling pins, but there's one left, and then Jax kicks it, and then it just goes spare on the screen. Like that's video game graphics at play there. Kinger's hands, I thought this was a funny moment. Kinger's hands just go away when he tries to rescue.
To grab Zubul, he grabs and it like
and his hands
along
just go with the gloinks. I thought that was funny because they're not attached to his body. The barrel of monkeys, obviously, that must be public domain, I'm guessing, So
it's gotta be. Well, I mean, you'd gotta think.
Because it was in Toy Story 2 a long time ago, so.
But it's a toy. Like, I don't even know how you would... Because, they didn't make the toy. They're not selling, monkeys in a barrel. It's...
Yeah.
They're just making it.
That was... I don't know how prominent that is these days, but even back when we were growing up, there were plenty of those around. Yeah. The Wacky Watch we talked about with the Order Now number that had wingdings in it. So that was another little reference. The wingdings.
You mean webdings? Sorry.
Well, they could have been webdings.
Could have been webdings. I don't know the difference.
Pre-web,
I can't read
we call
either
them wingdings. The Void music with Star Warsy I brought up. Just, something interesting. And then, I think that's it. You brought up the teapots already. So that was my number one, was just all those little inside jokes. And I'm sure there were ones that I missed or wasn't hip to.
Oh, yeah. I did a bit of Googling before, and there are a lot that I didn't know.
So before we get into the demerits, there are a couple of extra notes that I had written down that really don't fall into the positive or the negative category, but just some things I noticed that might be explained and might not. So when Pomni was walking through the office, she sees the CNA logo. And so obviously that's going to come up at some point again. That to me is probably around the origin of what we're doing here. And to me, it was reminiscent of in I Have No Mouth, But I Must Scream, the origin of AM, as you call it, or AM, which I can't remember what it stood for, but it was like automated something or other machine, blah, blah, blah. But there was an origin to where that came from. So when I saw C and A, I think either one, the C stands for Kane, and then there's a different person that's A, or Kane took C and A, and that just became part of Kane. It also, to me, there could be some biblical Cain and Abel stuff happening here. Did Cain kill another, software or something, another AI, and now is kind of the main thing?
It's so fun to watch you go through the same mental process that I was going through. I can't tell you anything about that, unfortunately.
Yeah, don't. I'm just saying these are things that I was thinking about.
I don't want to spoil anything for you.
Watch.
But
it'll all be answered within the next couple months.
I think you will be pleased with what they do, even though I don't want to say anything you said is like directly true, but it's like your head's in the right place.
We'll get there. Okay, let's go to the demerits. What's your number 5 demerit?
Number 5 demerit, and this is like not for me personally. I think this sort of mature, surreal content packaged in this way is going to be tough for people to deal with. My wife doesn't like animated pretty much anything. She's just never been a cartoon gal, and that's fine. You don't have to be. I've always been a little cartoon boy, so I love cartoons. And it's normal for me to watch like a Steven Universe or like an Adventure Time, a regular show. These shows that are for kids, but some have sort of the air of maturity about them, and it's that this is further along than those. Mm-hmm. The concepts that this show is discussing are like beyond. There's like little poop jokes and fart jokes and like what we would normally consider mature behavior, which is just like saying bad words or violence. And this is talking about the thoughts you have when you're alone in your room at night and you don't have anyone to talk to and you don't have anything to say and you don't have anything to distract you. And that's where we are. But it's with a bunch of vibrant colors and circus people. Some people might find that tough to deal with. And while I did put it in my demerits, I enjoy it, but I do know that if my wife were to watch this show, she would be like, ugh, I can't. They're talking, this is too serious, and they're funny. They look funny and they're talking serious, and I don't like it. But that's it's just, if you can get over it, it's a really good look into this existentialism sort of, who am I? What am I?
Yeah.
Are we a simulation? What's going on?
I think that a good litmus test is if somebody enjoys Rick and Morty, I think you're probably going to be able to get through it if you give it a chance. Yeah. But I agree. I think on a surface level, if somebody watches 5 minutes of this and is taken out of it by the overall look and feel mixed with the content, it just is what it is. My wife also watched a little bit of it, and I bet she would give it a second chance and enjoy it, but on a surface level, she wasn't really vibing with it. Yeah, but she also wasn't into, like, she didn't play N64 as
Yeah.
much. So I think that there's a lot of points of entry for me personally that, some others may not have. So it might be more specific to a subset of people, even though it is, very, very popular in its own right. My number
Yeah.
5 is that Pomni in the Gummigoo episode, to get out of the asset storage, she comes up with the exit plan like really, really quickly. I was kind of surprised how fast that came together. And, these episodes are only so long. I didn't really want them to spend more time in there, but I'm really reaching for nitpicks with these demerits. So that was
Me
just
too.
one thing. Is the second time around, I was like, wow, she actually thought of that really quick, and then it worked right away.
A lot
there
of
wasn't
the
a lot of
fandom,
failure.
a lot of the fandom noticed that too when it first came out, and the first theory was that Pomni is a programmer that got put into
Yeah, and
the
that makes
digital
sense.
circus.
She seems to, and she talks about LARPing, so she's some kind of a nerd. She
Yeah.
knows what LARPing is at all. So
That's-
that's very possible, but yeah, it
It's
just
funny
came
that you
together
say
fast.
the LARPing thing. They drop a lot of those lines. That's another testament to the writing. They're like one-off, like little lines that you think are sort of hand waves are really giving them like a lot of backstory without that she's a nerd because she talks about you don't know about LARPing if
Yeah.
You
Like
know,
you
it's-
don't even know about it as a concept unless you're in a certain subset of the populace.
yeah.
What's your 4?
My 4th is like a literal error that I noticed, and I'm sure other people have noticed it too. When Ragatha rings Kinger's door, or not, Kaufmo's doorbell, it's there, but in the next frame, or like the next scene where it's like top down, it's gone. It's just an error. It's like one of those
Yeah.
things where it's like, oh, well, oops.
It's funny you mention that because I can't remember when I noticed it. It might have been the first time or the second time. But when after Pomni's hand gets glitched out, there's one time they cut back to her and her hand isn't glitching out, and then they cut back and
Oh.
it is. So that's another
Interesting.
just little error that you
Yeah.
may not notice unless you're focused on that for
Right.
some reason.
Again, I have one more, and it's the anchor rope disappears when, like, after they throw the anchor over. It's like, Pomni, catch this, and he throws.
Yeah.
Anchor, is that attached to anything? And after they fall in, the rope is gone, and it's like, again,
Yeah.
nitpicking.
But then
It's
again,
not.
all of these continuity errors could be
you can be
written
explained
off
away by being
the fact
yeah.
that they're in this digital universe where they might have just disappeared for a second. It might have
This
been a
is
bug,
one of those times where like the setting and the concept of the show does sort of make it hard to nitpick in certain ways because you can excuse in the similar way as One Piece. It's like if you have a question about it, well, there could be an answer. Oda could have written something in a crazy like questionnaire
Yeah.
like 10 years ago. Same thing with this. The setting, the style, you can make excuses for it. We're just pointing out little things that we notice, folks.
Yep.
Don't get mad.
My number 4 is I think they could have spent more time in the N64 quality. I just think it would be fun to see a version of the show that is actually
I'd love it.
the original, idea for it, and even it'd be fun to just have a separate little mini episode where it's all the characters and maybe they don't even talk words. It's just like the true kind of style where
Yeah.
it's the text and then they're making like a noise that represents character, like a Banjo-Kazooie type thing. Because, that's one of my favorite parts about just the way it started is I would have been down for that, but I was questioning because I didn't know what it was going to be like. I was questioning. It's like, wow, is this going to be 4:3 and like this quality the whole time? And then within seconds, it was clear that it was not. But I enjoy those moments, so I think we could have had a little more of that.
Yeah.
All right, that's my number 4.
As much as I love the pilot, they do spoon feed you a bit. This is my number 3. I
Okay.
have an example that's like one of the things that like irks me about just writing in general. Again, I'm reaching for nitpicks here, folks. And this is like funny, but I also think it's unnecessary. When you cut from the scene where Ragatha and Pomni have like seen Kaufmo abstracted. Ragatha's been beaten in the hallway. Jax has run away. And we cut to Kinga and Gangle looking over the hole. And Kinga's like, why are we looking down here again? And then Gangle's like, oh, we saw Glowing take a piece of Zooble down here. And Kinga's like, well, thanks for reminding me. We as the viewer know why they're looking down there. Like, it's one of those things where they're reminding us what they're doing in a different scene. Do you know what I mean? It's like we dropped you in the middle of a conversation, but the conversation is about what we're doing right now. It happens a lot. You didn't need to do it. I guess they pulled it off as a joke, but at the same time, because of who Kinga is, felt a little bit too spoon-feedy to me. You're talking about really heavy topics. You expect your viewing audience to be smart enough to follow what they're doing. Yeah. That's just, like, and it's a nitpick. Again, not that big of a deal, but I'm like, you could have had him say anything else, and it would have been just as good, and you wouldn't have felt like you're pandering to me.
I think it's partially, I think you could write it off as character building for Kinger, that he is truly not
with it.
You know, he's not with it.
But I still think that's
and if you're on your phone partway through, you know, you probably didn't know what they were doing there.
I guess that's true.
My number 3 was that Pomni was named on the second name attempt. I think we maybe could have, you know, pulled the lever a couple more times to see, you know, some other names. But the first one was XDDCC. I think it would have been funny if they made it. It would have been funny if they made it stick with that first one, though. And then the name Pomni, I'm just curious, you know, because I don't know. I've done no research. It's got omni in it, which is, you know, Latin for all or all-encompassing or something. I'm not a professor, but does that mean anything, or is it just like a name that sounds like a name that's not a name? I don't know. So I think we could have maybe taken another attempt. But also, it's kind of funny that she was named in that way, which is this machine that had 5 letter combinations. And, you know, everybody else has less or more than 5 letters for the most part. So this isn't, like, confirmed 100%, but Pomni is a Russian word for remember or don't forget. Okay.
And it's one of those things where she remembers the exit door throughout the series. And so she's like, that's what again, not confirmed. We don't know. This is one of those things that we might never know. But a lot of the fandom thinks it's about the fact that Pomni needs to remember to do something or
and that would make sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah.
Number 2 for you, Tyler.
The fact that you put together the Omni thing is all, like, I didn't even think about that any time I've watched it until you mentioned it. I never thought about dropping the P and having Omni be, because you're right, Omni is like all.
Yeah, I thought it could be like a John Everyman type of thing. Like, this is
that was a very interesting.
Or whatever.
Yeah, it really could.
You know, I'm just grasping at straws.
Yeah.
Number 2 for you, Tyler.
My number 2. They talk about Kingo's been here for years. They say that. It's like the fact that they don't have a support system for new people coming in here, like there isn't just like a group project where like there's a new person, oh, here's the welcoming committee. We really have to explain everything that's going on and we're going to like sort of walk you through it. Why doesn't that exist? Why haven't any of these like supposed to be human beings gotten together and been like, you know, it was really tough for me the first couple days I got here. You think we could start like a program? Like, I know it doesn't happen very often, but like in case, we should have a plan for when somebody new comes here and not just, you know, destroy their brain in the first like 20 minutes of them being here. Just be like, yeah, you're never gonna leave. Stop trying to take the VR set off. You can't leave. We're not going to help you with dealing with that. We're just going to keep telling you can't get out. And then we're going to tell you, just play these stupid games that the person who might have the only way to get out.
Yeah.
That we're gonna play his games.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. Then
Wild
again,
work.
we know that when you go in, you don't remember your name. I'm sure there's other things that you can't access.
sure.
So maybe Kane takes away their ability to plan and form coalitions. I don't know. But
You can't plan anymore.
it's like when you go into the Big Brother house or certain there's certain reality shows where you can't bring a pen and paper. You can't like write stuff down.
Oh yeah.
So maybe it's one of those. My number 2, Jax is a sociopath.
Oh yeah. Sociopath.
This isn't really a bug. It's by design. But yeah, the whole bowling ball throwing, them into the pit. You mentioned the
Ladies
the abuse.
first. No, wait. Why would I say that?
Obviously, the whole thing with the fudge where he lets them come in and eat the townspeople.
And then he also says to his friend Ragatha, who's supposed to be his friend, it's like, maybe I'll tell him I think your hair looks like licorice. It's like, that's crazy.
Yeah. There's that. There's also just like he's really into the violence, and he's like really bummed when there wasn't a violent end to the mission in the second episode.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Jax is a sociopath. I'm excited to see what else happens with that character because I feel like you really like Jax. I think he's pretty low on my ranking right now in terms of likability.
Well, see, I like Jax a lot. Not really even colored by the newer episodes. Like, he does have development, but I just like the trickster character. I always like trickster characters. He is a sociopath, but I do think that even my first time watching it, I knew that they're planning that he can't be like this if they're not planning something, because you can't act like fully one way and be stagnant the whole time. You can't be like, I'm the craziest, worst character in the entire show who's a human, who's an analog for your, like a foil for your main character, and not learn anything or change. And I don't want to give anything away, but it's like he does have an arc, and it's like probably one of the most troubling of everybody's.
Exciting. Okay. Number 1 for you, Tyler.
Number 1, deleting Gummigoo crushed me the first time I watched this. The first time
But it was so nice. It had ribbons and confetti, Tyler.
Yeah, but like, honestly, so I watched this episode when it first came out, and I wasn't like really ready for the whole like under the map scene. And I was like in my feelings when like, you know what I mean? It's like, they make you feel something for this gummy alligator. And Pomni's like, maybe you can come live with us. And it really doesn't matter what you've been before because you can move forward and live as you are now. And then you're like, oh, this is a great little ending for our Gummigoo character. He just essentially lost his life, lost his mom. Everything he knows is a lie. And you're like, well, maybe it's on the up and up. And then in a line and a snap, oh, looks like one of these guys got through. I was like, what the? No.
Yeah.
Gummigoo, no.
It's the closest thing to the whole Gummigoo situation, especially while he was still around in the asset storage area, is we've been talking a little bit about Rick and Morty because that has so many existential themes to it as well. But the one where Morty has to like bury his own body, it had a lot of that kind of a vibe to me, just in terms of like what is life if I'm right here looking at myself and my mother isn't real. But I think a little bit more, you didn't stay there too long, which is another thing. Like, I think there's a version of this episode where they're down there for way longer, and maybe Pomni could have taken a few more attempts to figure out how to get up, but they dip you into that existential pool, I think, just long enough, and then you get out, you have this renewed sense of optimism, and then
And then it
they
immediately
shatter
shatters it.
I'm like, oh,
Which,
well,
again-
he likes to bring back, some of the NPCs. He likes to
Right,
reuse
it's
them.
like,
so.
oh my gosh. The thing is, though, when that happened the first time, I was like, oh no, I thought he was going to be a reoccurring character.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, my number one is I needed a little bit of some actual Kaufmo in these episodes, because when they brought him out in the beginning, I was like, oh, I want to see this guy. And then he's just like a terrible monster. And so I want to see Kaufmo. I want him to be, a vintage old school clown. I like the character model.
Yeah.
However, with Pomni also being kind of clown-like, I guess it's like, can't have too many clowns, really. So,
Send in the clowns, Jackie.
That's what I say.
Send in the clowns.
And then I just have a couple of honorable mention demerits here. I don't like that Kane's eyes are inside of the teeth. How does he not eat his eyes?
I think that's the best character design in the show, by far.
How
It's
can he see all the
unsettling.
time? It is unsettling. And if he's extremely powerful, you'd think he'd come up with something maybe better than a Tooth Man. So I'm curious kind of the origin of his Tooth Man get-up that he's got there. And the only other thing I have is the Gloink Queen and the Fudge are kind of similar. They kind of poke fun at that, actually, in the writing. Not exactly in those words, but, I thought maybe we could have come up with something a little different. I think if I had to choose one, I'd choose the Fudge. He has a little bit more going on. But I like the Gloink Queen just being like, you are going to be Gloinks. I'm Gloinks.
The Fudge is
They're
also a
Gloinks.
direct reference to, I think it's an old...
Is it in Candyland?
It might be.
Because they had to put some Candyland references in there. And something in there's a flag in my mind. I feel like that's got to be a Candyland reference, but I'm not sure.
It was, God, what movie? Yeah, it is a reference to the Raggedy Ann and Andy musical adventure from 1977. There's a character called the Greedy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it's like it is a direct reference. It's like not even.
So yeah, that's not in my repertoire, so I couldn't have accessed that one. I'll have to check that out. Interesting. So I wonder, was there any kind of thing with Ragatha that was in any way, Ragatha plus the Fudge? Was there a thing there, or was it just?
I don't know. I think it was just,
So Gooseworx is a closet Raggedy Ann fan, apparently.
I don't know if it's closeted.
Well, it was
Raggedy
in the
Ann's
closet until just now. You brought it out for me.
Oh, well, there you go.
Now it's out. Cat's out of the bag.
Sorry, I outed you, Gooseworx.
All right. Let's go to awards, Tyler. Strangers in the
yeah.
Night Award for the best
Strangers in the Night.
minor
Best cameo.
character, let's say.
Best minor character. It's Gummigoo. He deserved to live. He should have lived. Gummigoo.
You got
the
Gummigoo in
I
there.
want the bandits too. Like, I really do like his two brother bandits.
The brother bandits.
The short arms and long arms. There's the shorter one, when he's getting dragged along by the thing, he's doing all those weird poses and stuff, and that's a reference to like what is it? It's like some pizza game, and a very weird like reference. And I think that whole crew is funny, but specifically Gummigoo. Gummigoo, justice for Gummigoo.
Yeah, justice for Gummigoo. My award is kind of I'm going to cut the award in half, and I'm going to give it to the Fudge and the Gloink Queen. Because I just thought that having these kind of giant boss characters not only hammered home the video game aspect, but also they both had like a very limited screen time, even more so than Gummigoo, who's more of a main character in the second episode. But they are on screen for a very limited time, and I think are very much those episodes are better for having both of them, more so the Fudge, so maybe the Fudge gets 60% of that award. But I could not mention the Gloink Queen.
I can't shake my head and do the Gloink voice with the headphones on. They're gonna just like fly off.
I just love how self-assured and just absolutely certain that this plan to make everything Gloinks is just like
it's gonna
work.
Be
the best. It's just
the other thing is they're just ingesting things. They're just eating. The consummate consumer. I should have picked it because we just know how much I'm a capitalist.
Yeah.
We should have picked
your constant pro-capitalist musings on this show. All right, the Me and My Shadow Award for the best pair, Tyler.
Kane and Bubble, Jackie. Kane and Bubble, the dynamic duo of I'm running everything and you're messing everything up.
I like it. I think I had that written down initially as one of my candidates, but I went with Pomni and Gummigoo for that second episode because they got the most real. It's like they started as enemies, they became friends because they were in a bad place, and there's a version of this story where they go back and now Pomni's running around with Gummigoo as a friend for long term. Didn't happen that way, but we'll never forget you, Gummigoo. And we'll never forget the time that we spent with you.
I would watch a procedural about Pomni and Gummigoo trying to find more syrup for the village every day and having to go and do like different Mad Max races.
Do you think the syrup acts more as like, is it a food for them? Is it a lubricant? Is it, an adhesive
I think it's
for
like
building?
medicine.
Is it like oil?
Well,
or you think it's like medicine? Okay.
Because like if they're all candy,
you
could pour it on. If a gummy bear gets cut open, you could like put a little bit of maple syrup. It'll stick back together. I guess.
I guess so. Maple syrup and candy, to me, not my thing.
Yeah.
But these are all important questions.
Important questions.
The chairman of the board, who won the episodes 1 and 2 for you, Tyler?
It's got to be Kane, Jackie. Kane, the ringmaster, he is insane and let me get the voice actor's name real quick because I want to give him his props.
While you do that, I will just say that I also chose Kane for the chairman of the board. I think the first time around, I was thinking, like, is it sacrilegious to not choose Pomni, who everything kind of revolves around? But
no.
As I watched, especially episode 1, the pilot, just everything revolves around Kane for good reason. All of the best bits and best, like, little interstitial moments come around Kane. And just that mixture of the wacky and the sinister is part of what makes this show what it is. So
yeah, Alex Roshan, you do a very good job in the voice. You're dynamic. You make us scared and happy. I love it. Yeah, the interactions with Bubble are hilarious every single time. The way that he messes with the humans is also just, I don't know, as a voice actor, how he gets like the air of being like above every, do you know what I mean? He's like he's doing the ringmaster kind of, but it's more than that. He's like disassociated. He's like not a part of anything that's going on. But the moment that he needs, like he needs his input. He needs to he's in charge, but simultaneously not involved. And it's like
I think that's a major difference from the short story that we were talking about, is in the short story, AM seems to be constantly watching and involved. And here it seems like he's more of the type of god that kind of sets up the toys and then like hits the first domino and then just kind of leaves. He's off in the cafe doing things with Bubble.
Doing something. Not
whatever.
Waiting for his wacky watch to go off.
Yeah, exactly. And the wacky watch kind of tells him when he's got to get involved. So he's got this whole kind of side life. So, yeah, Kane is one of the most interesting pieces and one of the most, I'm curious to see as we continue with these episodes where that character goes, how
he
much
goes
more
somewhere.
sinister is he going to get, what's more of the backstory. So I think I'm the most interested in finding out more about Kane as we go forward.
And you will, Jackie.
Oh, good.
You most certainly will.
So next week, Tyler, we're looking at episodes 3 and 4. So we're probably going to continue this kind of, situation where we go 2 episodes at a time, unless you tell me not to, unless you feel like there's one episode that we should make its own podcast on. But we'll do 3
If
and
anything,
4.
it'll be the last episode. I think we can
yeah.
take them in twos.
Okay. So that's what we'll do. And we'll continue this for the next couple of weeks until we get through everything that's out. And then, of course, once the finale gets released, we will make every attempt, I think, to see it when it's in theater. I know that you're going to be away that weekend.
I'll be out of town, but it's going to be in theaters for like 2 weeks.
But we'll probably see it well before the digital release, and then we'll make an episode on that at that time. So if you're waiting for the digital release, just, be aware that episode is going to probably come out before.
Aware.
But then, maybe we'll do a follow-up where we can watch it multiple times because we're only going to get that one viewing. I'm probably not going to be in there with my standard chalkboard. I just have a big chalkboard while I'm watching these shows. There's dust everywhere. I'm coughing watching these shows.
He's not allowed to bring the chalkboard to the theater
I
anymore.
asked.
They keep asking him not to.
They said last time you did this, there were these children had asthma. There's a big problem, so I'm not allowed to bring the chalkboard
And you clapped your erasers in like 6 people's faces.
Yeah, I
you
did.
Kept going,
I didn't need to do that,
like
but
chalk?
they were being very aggressive towards me, and I did not take kindly. So
They didn't like the creaky chalk on the board, and you said, "Oh, you don't like the creaky chalk?"
I said, "What about this?" And I brought out a nail, a rusty nail. It's like, how do you like that? It's worse, right? Yeah, let me use the chalk. It's not as bad.
Let me get a sip of that rusty nail.
They didn't like when I brought that in either. They said, you're supposed to...
go outside, drink.
I said, no, I'm inside. What are you talking about?
What are you talking about? I'm inside right now.
All right, well, I think that does it, and we got a gig to get to, folks. So thank you for listening to the Brother Sinatra podcast. I'm Jack Sinatra.
And I'm Tyler Sinatra, and we're
the
Brother Sinatra.
We'll see you next time, folks.
Yeah, next time.